Welcome back to Living on the Ocean. I'm working on the rudder, finally.
We're gonna make some improvements to the carbon rudder with your comments, because some of them absolutely make sense to make it even better. Trimaran Dawn deserved a new rudder. She was sailing great, but something wasn't right in the way she was laying in the water, and for that we first of all extended her stern on the sandbank.
So we have chopped off this bit. This bit needs to be here. The tiller will just come from here to steer this. The inside part that goes through the quadrant is gonna come on here. And we're gonna make an extra hinge underneath this one. And then that leaves this one for that possible movable quadrant, which we're also planning to make. Now, we already made the bottom rudder hinges and I already showed them very happily. The system of just putting fibers over here, which works very well on Trimaran Twilight, is rightfully addressed by some of you that the sideways forces on those fibers would actually create a shear strain and want to break this. Well, one of you suggested to take carbon fibers and put them over here and support that, which is a good suggestion. To do the job, we're gonna lay those in here. It's better to see now, I think, if I move this a bit as well. If this goes in here, it's glassed away over there and comes around this bit of pipe and is then glassed away. So I have to squeeze them in from the side. What we then do, we take this piece of foam, we squeeze it to here. We do the same on this side. We will squeeze this one towards that side. And then those two pieces of foam with this helping piece will make the exact distance for the hinge that's already built on the bottom of the boat. Most forces are on the bottom hinge, so most forces are playing around in this area.
Well, the next day with excitement I take away the supports to see the much stronger hinges. Now the extra layers of carbon fiber have gone over and actually in between. It has made it a lot stronger. It's also become more bulky, but still looks very good if we see it hanging behind the transom. So even when it was an alteration, it all worked out perfectly. But the top hinges we can do different right from the beginning. And that's going to be a very interesting way that we came up with. But first of all, you see me in the last episode making the top rudder hinge on the boat. This whole triangle with all its supports going inside. It only needs to be plastered and sanded and painted. And then this part is basically done. And I feel a bit like a monkey hanging here, just making sure that I can reach all the edges with a nice plastering rubber to get nice round corners. But after all that work, it's so rewarding to be painting again. I'm gonna do this quite fast because I think I explained enough about the painting in our episode Painting Trimaran Dawn. And if you remember well, I told you that it's handier to first paint things grey to get the light darker and the dark lighter, as you will see that it's not possible with one layer of coat to get this one even color. You always see the brown coming through, and that's why I'm gonna paint it twice very quickly, which does not give the perfect smooth finish, but it will be good enough for now. And I know there's even more to be built on here. For example, the sides, as you can see, they still don't look very nice. But paint always does miracles, and with a good preparation job of sanding and plastering, I'm very happy with the result. The sunlight cannot eat away this, and I can now concentrate on the rudder housing. And that nice job behind me, it's now time for the top 2 rudder hinges, and those we're gonna make with fibers wound around like this. This should take the sideways forces that the U-shape, as you told me, could not really take. Even when in Trimaran Twilight and my other boat Levity, it didn't give any troubles. I've decided to follow actually what James Worm does with rope. I've taken a UD tape apart into the loose long fibers, having 10 of them being 20% of the tape, and the tape being able to lift 6,000 kilos. Those 10 strings of carbon fiber should be able to resist a force of about 1200 kilos, or properly said, about 12,000 newtons. And after I've impregnated them and rolled them up on a little block of foam with round corners, I'm now able to lay those tapes on the rudder housing and go around the extra bit of tube that I have in place with the axle. And literally weave the fibers from left to right. I was first planning to go all the way underneath through and cut the excess away, and then I thought it's not necessary if I also use a piece of rope from the bottom and go around that piece of rope. That saves me carbon fiber, and I can hold the tension on the threads that I'm putting around. As you watch very well, you will see that I can tighten those fibers very well. Now that sharp corner in the bottom is obviously not good, but that's gonna be cut open anyway. That's the end of where those fibers will put their forces to. Now in my boat I cannot walk to the other side of the table to do the other side, so it was a bit fiddly to get the other side done, but after a while that worked out very well. And you can see that if we pull the fibers, they really get nice and tight. It's a bit like a sewing machine using a thread from underneath to hold the tension as well. But around the pipe, where I'm basically making that cross of the fibers, you must realize that we get air voids there, and for that we use thickened epoxy with Caposil to fill up all the gaps. I'm having fun doing it, and I really want to thank you for getting involved with your comments, because I really feel like we come up with this solution together. So please don't hesitate if you have suggestions, if you have ways to do things that you like to share, put them in the comments and we will definitely take them in consideration, as it took us quite a while to consider what to do. We knew that this hinge worked before, but we also, after some thinking, realized it could be improved. And it is a bit of an experiment, but I'm quite sure this has become a lot stronger. And I'm already looking forward towards your comments about this solution. There may be more ways to do it, just comment on them. We simply probably cannot come up doing every way possible, but always have to be thinking what can reasonably easy being done while you are on the ocean. Well, they're all in place. I could go 12 times around a tube of 5 centimeters. So on 10 centimeters that could be 24 loops easily. Say 24 times 1200 if you do kilos again. That's a lot of force before that's gonna break. And now the loops are cut off. I can spread out the fibers very nicely and smooth and fill them out with epoxy and Caposil again to get a very nice smooth layer to cover it off with glass fiber. Since I still don't have any peel ply, but I really realize now I'm starting to do much more details to it that is necessary to get a roll of peel ply as well. Since then I don't have to cover it with glass and then send most of the glass away before I start doing the next layer. But for now that's what I have, and it's possible, and as we said before, on the ocean you might not have peel ply with you. Just cover it with a layer of glass. But then before I do that, I quickly stick another bit of UD carbon fiber tape with the fibers going 90 degrees, basically in the length of the axle that goes through it, to make sure that this hinge doesn't crack very easily, and then put my glass fiber over that. And with that, the first stage of this hinge is now finished. When this is all cured, we will put the normal U shapes of carbon fiber around it after we filled out the dent that's now between the pipe and the rudder housing. But for now it's done. And you can see that we left a piece of the old hinge, which was just stuck on a piece of foam there, just to make sure that we had the perfect position for the pipe. Which, if I have to make this all from scratch again, I will have to come up with another way to put my pipe in place first. Probably I will always use a bit of pipe glued on a piece of foam to make sure that I can start working on there and then later cut it away. Well, we have to make one more, and this was actually the first one we did. But the camera angle from filming it and showing what we were doing was much better for the other hinge. That's why we showed that first. And we speed this one up so it won't take so long. Getting the glass fiber over it, and this one is done as well. But it made quite a big of difference between the first and the second one, and I think if I've done this a couple of times, it will go just as easy as other things I did. Basically, you saw me experimenting and learning how to do something new. When the epoxy was cured far enough, I put filler over it all and let it cure. And the next day, it was exciting to get the pieces of foam off and hoping that the pipe was not stuck anywhere, because then I would have a real big problem now. Because before I could make this all, I had to take very good care that this pipe was definitely sealed off from epoxy going in anywhere. What I did this time was also leaving the pipes that I needed for the hinges a bit longer, so that I could put tape around it very well. And you can see when I start taking away all the supports that the hinges have bits of pipe sticking out on the left and the right hand sides, which will be cut away later. But it did work. The pipe is not stuck and I can get it out perfectly. Job done. Now getting the U-shapes around it very quickly, and we have a rudder. And it works so well, it's almost fun to play. No, not almost. It is fun to play with it and just slide the axle all the way through there. Just to know that everything is lined out so well when you make something yourself just gives a great feeling of satisfaction. And I think it really worked so well because of those extra sticking out bits of pipe that gave me a perfect seal to avoid any epoxy from coming inside. That's also a new thing I learned to do. And I can measure how high the layers of carbon came. Not correctly because I need to clean it all up, but it's very close to 7-8 mil of carbon fiber around that pipe already. So let's cut off the bits that we don't need and try it out. Hang it behind the boat and see for the first time how the rudder housing is gonna look on this new painted transom of Trimaran Dawn. And it fits, and there's enough play in it to go a bit up and down for washes to go in between. I think it looks great. Now we can finish it off with carbon fiber going around the pipes as well and making it very, very strong. And I'm skipping in this episode how we put a carbon around there, because we've done that already a couple times in previous episodes, but I love to show you the result. A beautiful rudder house hanging on the transom of Trimaran Dawn. Trimaran Dawn deserved a new rudder, and there it almost is. All she needs now is the blade finished, but we can already hang it behind there and see how it will start to look. I'm so excited. Let's stick a piece of wood against that, use it as a tiller and go sailing. Quickly, with some black line, I tie the rudder blade in the rudder housing. You can see the white slots in the back of the rudder blade. The ropes will go through there over wheels to be pulled in its position or to be quickly released if the blade needs to come up. And for the first time we can look underneath and see how much play there is in the part of the rudder that sticks out in front of the rudder axle. It's a balanced rudder to make it steer easy, and we have to fill it out perfectly to make sure that nothing gets stuck underneath there very easily. And while I let myself drift slowly a bit away to see everything from a distance, the waves from a passing boat are slowly moving the rudder from port to starboard for the first time. Drifting farther away, I'm designing, sketching in my head the continuation of the tow rail in the perfect line so that the rudder cannot be seen anymore. The only thing that you will see just sticking up is the helm, nicely following the top of the tow rail. And I'm looking forwards towards making that helm in that very nice curve. What also works out fantastic, it was just sketched on tablecloths. The steps. There's just enough room for our feet to come on board or go back to the water to our dinghy. We think it looks really neat. With the helm over there later, I think it's gonna be a stunning transom for Trimaran Dawn. There's a lot of details that we still need to build into her, but for now we're just gonna sit on the back and play with the rudder. Steering to port and steering to starboard. Now it's a big rudder, so it takes a bit of effort obviously without a helm. But it works and we are so happy. Thank you for commenting and helping out, making this rudder a better rudder. We're looking forward towards your other comments and your likes. Likes really help our channel and spread our videos, so thank you for doing that. And we put all the videos of extending Trimaran Dawn on the sandbank and building the rudder system in a playlist which is in the top left corner. In the bottom left corner, the round button, you can subscribe to our channel if you have not yet done that. And on the right hand side are the sailing adventures of Trimaran Twilight and Trimaran Dawn. We hope to see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching Living on the Ocean.